Welcome to the latest Mirantis Tech Talks, where we're going to talk about, can you develop a powerful AI tool with open source in just 20 minutes? So today we're going to walk you through a live build, or a little bit of a live build that we've already done, and show you how you can go and do this yourself. So my name's Jamie, and I'm director and co-founder of FreelyGive. We're a Drupal agency that focuses on native Drupal CRM. And yeah, we've become obsessed with AI over the last year and a half. And I'm maintainer of the AI module in Drupal. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you this AI app that we've already built. It's aimed at event organizers, corporate event organizers, and it's going to help you analyze venues. And this is going to show you a little bit about how you can make these complex AI applications with no code, with just a clicky, draggy interface, something that like almost anyone will be able to do. And we'll talk about other ways that you could apply this later. So this application is going to take a link of a venue. It's going to scrape the website. It's going to search for geographical locations in the website's text, key bits of information like capacity, etc. It's going to find these addresses and put them on Google Places and on Google Maps. It's going to extract loads of reviews, summarize them, etc., and then put them all in a report that will allow this agent to go ahead and make a decision about which venue would be great for their event. Firstly, we'll give you a quick demo of showing you what the tool does. And then we're going to talk about the software Drupal behind it that we used to build this, and then show you how you'd be able to build something yourself. So what you can see here is a whole bunch of venues that are all in an easy to look at report. We can sort this, we can see them all, we can filter everything, and we can see important metadata like max capacity, min capacity, number of venue rooms, etc. Different ways of categorizing them, the Google ratings, etc. But if we go into one, we can view a particular one. And here we go is information about this particular venue. It's got a summary that has been created with the AI. It's got some stuff about the strengths, summary of the reviews all in one place, and some images so I can see them all extracted from the website, and all the information that our event organizer wants to see. They can look at location and transportation details and see everything on a map. Yeah, and all the nearby hotels. They can see some contact information and the office hours, including the website. And then they finally see some metadata about that venue, like max capacity, etc. So if we go back to the listing of venues, we've got it all in a place where they can interact with it, but also we can do things like plot it on a map. And so you can see where they are, which will be really helpful for taking a look at those venues, get a feel for the place. We've also made a graph. This is more gimmicky to show you that it is possible to quickly make graphs. And this, I think, is to do with the capacity. But now what we'll do is we will show adding a particular venue. So here we've got a website called Two Temple Place. And again, we see some unstructured, just a website. And normally someone would have to go through this. Maybe they have to download the brochure. Maybe they have to look through everything and stick it into an Excel spreadsheet. But instead, all they're going to do is take the URL and put it in. And then click Save. So whilst this is working, this software that we've built is using something called Drupal. So Drupal is a free open source content management system. It's used to maintain websites, stores, e-commerce, directories, or intranets. It's got a very straightforward user interface. It's always been good at managing yourself and being able to build whole things using a clicky draggy interface and not necessarily needing any code. And it's also a collection of all these things we call modules that add on functionality to Drupal, like a web shop, or being able to do things on Google Maps, or send emails, etc. And this is the core of what we built. Now, the thing that we showed you just now, apart from the AI, that's standard. You would have been able to build this in Drupal a long time ago. And the standard way that people would do things is by going onto the website, reading it, and manually putting information into the form. However, one thing we've been working on recently is the AI module. Dries, the founder of Drupal, said Drupal has led the way in many golden eras of the web, including low-code and no-code capacities and democratizing web publishing. And we believe that Drupal is going to once again lead the way in this new golden era of AI orchestration by allowing normal people to be able to just create real usable AI applications with little to no code. There's a bunch of reasons why we thought Drupal would be particularly good at this. And so if you look at the overall marketplace for AI orchestration, which is this tool used to control all these different AI bots, all these prompts, put them somewhere, allow people to log in and do everything, sort of a thing in the middle. There are lots of things out there that are open source that anyone can use, but they tend to be code focused. And because they're all about code, you need a programmer to build these applications. But also because it's code, you have to build everything around it as well. You're going to have to build user interfaces, ability to log in, permissions, etc. And then for the programmers out there who've maybe tried some of these tools, normalization of complex data is hard. It's not always true that like one of the services or one of the prompts returns information in a way that the next one can just use. But Drupal fields make normalization easier by having a clear fixed structure that we're putting things into. And I think when we show you how we built this system behind the scenes, you'll be able to see how we use a prompt or some service to pull information, we put it in a field, and then once it's in this field, the next thing will be able to use that information in its context in some predictable manner. It's all no code, which means that somebody who is not a programmer will be able to create all of these things themselves. And I think this is really powerful, as in the marketing space, for example, you'll be able to come up with an idea, think about certain research projects you want to do, and create this whole thing relatively quickly, and not have to rely on somebody else with programming skills to build the whole thing for you. Now, whilst there are other no-code orchestration open source systems out there, they tend to be lacking in some kind of important functionality, like good user management, permissions, reporting systems, etc. Because Drupal already has a whole host of modules that you can bring in to do all these things, it's quite powerful. And finally, there's many systems out there, or a few, that do all of these things quite well, but they are proprietary, whereas Drupal is fully open source. This is the module. So Drupal.org, where you can download Drupal. And one thing we've been working on is this AI module. And it is a single core place where it will give you all the tools you need to build these complex applications in one place. And it has an abstraction layer, so you can choose which model. You might want to use OpenAI, ChatGPT, you might want to use Claude, or you might be interested in the more open source models to power everything. If you use this AI module and you build your applications on top of it, you'll be able to swap to any of these different providers, including ones that are completely self-hosted. The thing that we're showing you today is this AI Interpolator, and it's going to be called AI Automators soon. So it will be in the AI module very soon. And this allows you to actually chain prompts together to build complex applications. Now, to show you a simple, this application has actually quite a lot of relatively complex chains, although we've done it quite simply. But to show you one example of the AI order of actions, we have the first thing that is not using AI, is using a scraping service that will take the link that we provided that you saw earlier, go to that website and scrape a single page from the link provided. But it's got loads of settings, so you can ignore certain pages, you can go 2 or 3 pages deep, etc. You can pull all of that unstructured information. Scraping tools can be quite complicated for end users, but because a lot of the time there's loads of noise, loads of HTML that they don't want to see, so you have to build really complicated ways of deciding what is the important information. The power of AI is I can just bring in everything and then use AI to extract everything that's important. So then we're going to fill the fields that we added to the thing we called an entity in Drupal, like the address, max capacity, or summary. In this particular example, we're taking the address. So we're looking for that page and finding what the address of the venue is. We then take that address and then, again, not using AI, we use the Google Places service to look at that address and pull in all the most recent reviews. Again, very unstructured, a whole bunch of them. And the final step is we again use AI to take those things and summarize it. So we've got a couple of sentences for somebody to easily see the general feel of how people think about those things. And then they can drill down and look at the specific reviews. What we've done is we've taken this unstructured information, and there's a whole bunch of different structured information we've pulled it into. Contact info, hotels nearby, 5 strengths, as you saw earlier. So now, in the background, it takes about 3 minutes. It's scraped everything and it's put everything into places. Summary of reviews, it's got pictures from it. Yeah, everything you saw before. And let's go and just double check that everything looks good in terms of capacity. So the min capacity is 30. And we saw from that page, min capacity is 30, yeah. And I think from the front page, it said 30 to 300, didn't it? You scroll down, yeah. So there you go. Now, to how we built this behind the scenes. So Drupal starts with the creation of something called a content type or entity. So we're just logging in as an admin. So if you look at content types here, this could be like a page or a blog. And what we've done is we've created something called an event location. And then what we can do is manage the fields. So these are all these kinds of information, the structured information we want to create. And here's a whole bunch of them. So yeah, we aren't showing you how to set up the whole thing from scratch, because it does take a little bit of time to add all the fields, as this ends up being quite complex. We have some examples of things that have actually genuinely taken only 20 minutes, like our podcast summarizing tool, because it only had a few fields. But this kind of grew in complexity. So if you, we'll post a link to a longer video where if you are interested in this and want to work through the whole thing yourself and build the entire thing yourself, you'll be able to see how Marcus made every single one of those fields. Some of them are more complex. And as an example, we're going to show just the address field first. And so this is a standard one in Drupal, which is it's a module you have to download to get this working. But as you can see, when I talked about normalization, addresses are very complicated. There's lots of different ways of doing addresses. There's lots of sort of subfields within an address. So Drupal has a standard address field that everyone tends to use. And so whenever anyone wants to do anything interesting with addresses, they'll use this. And so there's a predictable structure to how addresses will be stored. So as long as our system is able to store them in this field, we can assume everything else in the rest of the chain is going to be able to use this address. But that's all standard Drupal, creating fields, creating the addresses, creating entities, viewing them. This is where the AI comes in. So what we'll show you next is the scraped page. And this is a field which is going to store all of the data from the web scraping tool. And you can see here, it's used, we're going to call them automators, but we've got this automator, which at the moment is a rule called a simple depth crawler. We've selected that. We've told it all the settings. There's some advanced settings there that you can control if you need to, or you can ignore them. But in this case, it's going to 1 depth. And that means that whenever this page is saved, so you put in the URL and you save it, one of the steps is going to be this. Now, if you scroll down to wait, you'll see if you know much about chaining, the wait is you control the order of it. And the new version of automators, there's going to be more drag and drop for controlling these weights, but this is the order that these things happen in. So of course, before we do anything with AI, this is early on in the system, we're going to need to scrape all those pages and put it here because the next stages are going to do something with this. And so we can show you one of the structured ones, which was the capacity one, min or max capacity. Okay, and in this situation, we had a min capacity thing, which is just going to give us a number. But what it was able to do is we're able to select the OpenAI integer automator or rule in this case, with using an advanced version of this. And this is where you can write your prompt. So there we say, based on the context, that is an event venue web page. Can you figure out the max capacity of the venue? Just answer with a number. Only take the number that is described in the context. Don't make stuff up. If you can't figure it out, just answer 0. And in the context, we then have this thing called a token, which allows us to pull all the information from the previous field. And when that saves, it will now just give us a number. And then this thing will be saved on that field. Again, it's a number field, so everything else can use this as if it was a proper number. Now, for more advanced stuff, we won't show you how there's an automator there for pulling things from Google reviews. But once we pull that, we've saved, again, a whole bunch of reviews all in one place, very unstructured, very messy. And then we make another one called summary of reviews. Whereas the last LLM rule or automator was doing something that was very, it was fact-based. It was a very specific number it's trying to find. This is a little bit more creative, where it's looking through all those reviews, writing a summary so we can get a feel about what the user says, and keep the summary to like 2 long sentences. And then it brings across, again, the fields from the Google reviews. So this allows an end user with no programming ability to go and change those fields. And when they're testing it, they can run this, and if they don't like it, maybe 2 long sentences is not enough. They need to change it. Maybe they need to, instead of summarize it, focus on the negatives, because someone wants to know what are the worst things that people who reviewed it said. It allows someone who's not a programmer to be able to go in and change this very quickly and easily. Okay, so this was a view that we showed you earlier. And this is like a report. In Drupal, we call them views, but it's a report that you can customize and change. So if we go to that view, there was actually a cog that you could click edit if you want to, or you could go via the method that Marcus did. And we have this. It seems a little bit daunting at first. I found it takes about half an hour to train someone how to build this. But this allows you to, again, with no code, build the whole structure, the whole thing. You add in all the different fields that you want to do, like title, website. You can reorder them live. So yeah, we're going to show you that. So you can see you can reorder it. And if you scroll down, does it have the preview on this one? No. Yeah, it does. So there's a little preview of it. On the other page, it was styled a little better, but you can like change it all around. You keep seeing the preview before you publish it. Again, with no code, you can make this happen. But there's also different display modes that it can do. So this shows a table, but we can output a map. And so you can see there. Obviously, it's a little bit more complex how you set this one up. But then also we can also export it as a data export. So this thing here allows us to export it as a CSV file, which means I can download it, put it into Excel. And there's loads of interesting things you could do with this. We can make it so that once we've started this, the AI will take the first few examples and spit it out as a PowerPoint presentation, or even make a video. You can see, as you see what we've done, there's so many things that this could be used for. There's actually a lot of different automation tools that you can use, but just the situation of scraping something and then doing something with it is a regular thing people need to do when they're doing research projects. So we could make something that summarizes podcasts. It could download it off of YouTube or from an MP3 file. It can use a service to transcribe it. It can pull out key quotes, key points, make LinkedIn posts from it, make blog posts from it, etc. You could do the other way around, where you could take some a Word document or PDF or website or blog post you've done and create a whole podcast with it with AI-powered voices. Someone I know had to do a research project with, it took a few months of looking at HR awards that their company could do. And that required them to find these HR awards, download information about them, pull out key metrics like how much does it cost? What's the time frame? What is the process for submitting? But this person also had loads of information about her company and how her company is, things that they were proud of in HR. So she needed to look at the things that they've done well, compare it to all these awards, and look at which ones are likely to go well, they're going to get, what are the prestige levels of them, etc. Took a long time, but you can imagine if she was able to build this whole process with no code, she would be able to find all those words, just put them in, and it would get her started. Or even site migrations. You want to pull some information from a PDF and just make a page, or from an existing page and then make it in Drupal in some way. So if you're interested in what we've done here, here is a link. There will be a link in the description of this video to the whole walkthrough that tells you how to get set up in Drupal itself, get something stored on your local server, create all of these entities and fields all from scratch, and then do all the AI stuff. And it really does assume you don't know much about Drupal, so it works you through. Marcus will show you how to get modules for it and how to improve things, etc. You'll be able to download our AI stuff at drupal.org/projectAI. We're very active on Drupal's Slack, so that's a link there that you can go to join it. And we're on the #AI channel. Our company is FreelyGive.io. And yeah, DrupalCamp.ai is an event that we're planning to do for Drupal and AI and anything to do with AI and open source, really, on October the 24th, and it'll be in Chinatown in London. And again, in the Drupal community, we'll be speaking at DrupalCon Barcelona and also, yeah, the DrupalAI camp. Well, thank you for listening. Yeah, and like I said, join us on Slack, chat to us, give us any ideas that you have of things you want to build. Like I said, we're totally obsessed with AI, really interested in AI and open source. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.